We're painting winter iPad wallpapers this week, complete with a full calendar and falling snow. The color palette for this project is free as always. Just tap on the link in the video description and you can download and install it. You'll be using the default screen size canvas this week, so your wallpaper will fit your iPad perfectly. Let's pick up this tutorial by creating that canvas. So when you're in your gallery view, you want to hit this plus sign up here to create a brand new canvas, and screen size will be at the very top, so that's the one you want to select. I am using, you'll notice my iPad is landscape orientation this week because whenever I'm drawing or creating new ideas, I typically create them with my iPad in landscape format rather than portrait. If you'd like to create a portrait orientation, all you have to do is rotate your canvas and then you're ready to go. So you don't have to remember the size settings or anything like that. You just rotate it and you're all set. So mine is going to be landscape. So let's set the background color, come to the layers, tap on background color and choose the second color. Next, we're going to add in a drawing guide. Since we have a lot of numbers and dates to add in, it will help us to have a straight line to draw everything in on. So I'm going to hit the wrench, canvas, toggle on drawing guide, edit drawing guide. And I like keeping my grid size for this a little bit smaller because I have so many numbers that I need to get included. And if you want to hand write out those numbers, it'll be helpful to have smaller squares to put them in. So I'm just going to bring mine down to 40 pixels for this. And then I'll also increase the opacity and the thickness so you can see this a little bit better on screen, and then hit done. Whenever I'm creating these wallpapers, I generally begin by hand lettering out the month. So that's what I'm going to do here. On this very first layer, I'm going to select the third color. I'm going to select my Inky Edge Pro brush for my beautiful lettering brush set. It's got a little bit of texture on the edges, which gives it the more organic, more interesting feel. So it's definitely one of my favorite brushes. And the size of my brush is right around 15%. So I'm just going to letter out January, but you can also do this with typeable text if you don't want to hand letter it. Okay, I'm gonna center this up on my canvas. So now I'm going to add in all of my dates at the bottom, and whether or not I hand letter these dates or type them out using typeable text really depends on how much time I have. If I'm short on time, then I'll just type them all out. So I want to show you what that looks like because typeable text can be sometimes a little bit tricky. Otherwise, if I want to make it super neat and super perfect, I will make my grid size a little bit larger and I will hand letter in each date in each square so they're evenly spaced, and I'll leave an empty square in between each letter. So I'll do like 1 and then 2 and then 3 all the way across, but I'll use a larger grid size so they appear larger. So I want to show you how to add them in if you're using typeable text, and I'm going to use this darkest color at the very end for this. I'm going to come to the wrench, go to the add category, add text, and you'll get highlighted text. And if you hit the keyboard icon down here, you'll get this mini keyboard, and it's super annoying. I hate that it does this and not just default to the larger one. So if you're like me and this annoys you, all you have to do is hit the double A and you'll get the larger settings, but we don't need these just yet. So then hit the keyboard over here and you should get the larger keyboard after that. So now I'm just gonna hit 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, all the way to 31 for January. I got all my numbers in here. If I zoom out, you can see, got them all here. I'm going to stretch this out so the text box hits both sides so I can have an idea of what I'm working with here. So now what I have to do is select all of these numbers. So if I double tap in here, it'll select all of them and then hit the double A. And over here, just choose whatever font you want. I will use Gill Sans for this. And I'm going to reduce the size until they all fit on one line. And they're actually pretty well spaced right now. I don't think I need to increase my tracking much. Maybe I can do it just a little bit, 1.5% maybe. I'm gonna reduce it down enough so I've got a little bit of comfortable breathing room on the sides. I don't wanna make it so small that it's like hard to read, but that feels really good. So I'm gonna hit done. And now I'm going to move it into place, and you have to remember that when this is a wallpaper, you're going to have your dock at the bottom with your apps down here. So we need to have it up just a little bit higher. We don't want it right here because you'll never see it. It'll be behind the dock. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and let's make sure that it is centered. I hand letter out the dates because honestly, it's just such a pain to try and align each letter of the date with the number beneath it because the numbers are different widths. So it's just so much easier. Just letter it out. Even if you're not comfortable hand lettering, we just have a few letters that we need to do. So it just is so much easier if you don't do typable text for this part. I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to select white for this, just so I have a little bit more contrast. Still have my Inky Edge Pro selected. And this is the part where sometimes I'll increase the tracking if I feel like the letters are smushing together too much, then I will. But I think I'm going to be okay right here. So I have a little bit of a buffer space right here. So I'm just going to make sure each letter fills the height of these squares. And I know that January begins on a Sunday. I'm going to come down to 4%. And I don't like having two S's in a row. I like being able to distinguish which one is which. So what I do is little s and a big S. So this would be Sunday and this would be Saturday. Obviously our month is starting with Sunday, so we don't need a Saturday next to it. But now I can go Sunday, Monday. And I'm just keeping an eye right beneath it and trying to align it as best I can. So now I have a Saturday and then little Sunday, but now I know which one is which. We got all of our dates in there now, and you can see how they definitely get more spaced apart. Let me turn off this drawing guide now. It's just getting in the way. Now you can see how they're really tight together, and then they get more spread out. And then you don't have to worry about spacing with the typeable text. The last thing we need to do is just add in that wintry feel, which is super simple because we're using a free snowflake brush. So I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to select the third color and then head into my Snowfall Patterns brush set, which I just released a few weeks ago to email subscribers. So I will leave a link on screen and in the video description to my free resource library. There's literally hundreds of free Procreate assets in there. So I'm going to grab the first one up at the top called Snowflakes, and I'm just going to paint these in. If I paint in softly, you'll get those softer edges as you get closer to the lettering. And I think I want to move January down just a little bit so I have less of a weird gap right there. So select that layer and nudge it down a little bit. In order to save it out, all you want to do is hit the wrench, share, JPEG, save image. And then when you are in your settings, go to Wallpaper, choose New Wallpaper, and then it'll be in your photos. And once it's loaded in here, I'm just going to pinch it. I don't know why it defaults to bringing it in really large, but it does. So you just need to pinch it to reduce the size and then just hit set. And that's what that looks like. And we positioned it. If I were to do it again, I might nudge it up just a little bit because these dots are pretty close, but they still made the cut. And then you can see how it looks. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.